All right, good morning, everybody. It's the Fantasy Sports Boss, Fantasy Football Live, the first one of the season. It is Sunday, September 7th, 2025. We've already had two games in the books for week one, and then the rest of the slate gets going today. And I know for myself, I'm definitely excited, pumped up about today. Hopefully, all the prep work we did leading into our league drafts has paid off with potential championship winning teams. But of course, the journey to get there is going to be one filled with injuries and setbacks and disappointing performances and all those things that make fantasy football one of the more stressful and annoying ventures that you take part in. But it's also one that we all love. And certainly, I know for myself, want to be. Every year look forward to it and want to do the best I could every year with this. So hopefully all of you guys are ready to go. You got a healthy team and you're about to find a lot of success this season. So going to go through the schedule for today. I already posted the weather video. There's a couple of weather issues in some of the games. I know here in New York, the rain has been falling throughout the morning. And that should continue probably through the game today. And then we're going to have hopefully some improvement there as we go along. I'm just sharing out the stream right now on X there so we can get that going. And yeah, so as far as everything else is concerned, no major injuries really other than Christian McCaffrey that we have to keep an eye on. And yeah, Kyler Murray. So I did see that this morning. He has been added to the injury report with an illness, but he is expected to play. So I don't think that there's going to be any issue there with him. Not a big fan of him for all the reasons I've spoken about in the past, but I think he'll be fine today in a very winnable game against the Saints. And I gather that the Cardinals are probably the presumptive favorite for survivor pools to start out the season there. So Tua or Caleb Williams. I think Tua is going to have a huge game. They're on the fast turf there. It's a high over under for that game. I believe there's a high over under. Yeah, I have the betting lines here. I actually think the Dolphins are in a really good spot today. And Tyreek Hill scores almost every single opening game, whether he's with the Chiefs or the Dolphins. Over under 46.5. So that's pretty high. That's one of the highest numbers of the week. So I do like the Dolphins to put up some helpful fantasy points. All of the key players there, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa. Certainly Caleb Williams has all the natural talent in the world. He's got to improve on his decision-making last year. Took a lot of sacks, but also ran for 400 yards. Had a decent, very impressive, actually, touchdown to interception ratio. And now, of course, he's got the offensive guru leading the team, Ben Johnson. So I think all signs are pointing up for him, but not the easiest first matchup for Caleb Williams there. I believe they're home underdogs, too, in this one. Yes, they are. They're actually the Vikings are favored by 1.5, which is interesting. J.J. McCarthy's first start. But I would go Tua Tagovailoa here. And there's no issue with Tua for me. Other than that, he doesn't run in terms of when he's on the field, he throws the ball as well as any quarterback in the league. I don't think there's any question, and you're welcome. So I think it'll be fine there. But anyway, so just about a half hour until the injury report comes out. And certainly we're all looking to see what happens with Christian McCaffrey as they play Seattle today. And they also are road favorites in that one. There's a lot of home underdogs in this game. But, as far as the Christian McCaffrey thing, I mean, who knows what to believe after the fiasco that was last season with McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan, basically not McCaffrey, but the coaching staff basically lying to the media about how serious McCaffrey's injury was. He barely played at all last year. Wear and tear of the previous season certainly was an issue. And that's the same fear I have for Saquon Barkley this year is just guys just don't bounce back from that kind of insane workload. And Barkley had almost 500 touches last year. So guys just don't typically bounce back from such an insane workload, to begin to the following season, I should say. So, that's something that certainly is a factor for me. But here's the thing too with McCaffrey. I thought, and really, once May came around and very, very early drafts were taking place, McCaffrey was going in the second round, and then of course he moved up into the mid first round, just as as things his health seemed to progress, and it looked like he was going to be in a good spot there. But now he's got a calf injury, and calf injuries are very, very tricky. All right. So that's something that we need to keep in mind with him going forward. And, certainly if you got sucked in again on him, make sure you back him up with Brian Robinson Jr. All right. So somebody had asked me about Calvin Ridley. There's a post going around on X about Patrick Surtain. Of course, Patrick Surtain is going to be defending Calvin Ridley today, and there might be some off weather there as well. So last year, Patrick Surtain in primary coverage, only hit the high, I believe. I'm just going through the numbers here. The most receiving yards he gave up last year was 39 in a given game. All right, so this is Dynasty Dad posted this. I don't even know who this account is. He's got a lot of followers. 39 was the most amount of yards that was given up by Patrick Surtain last year. So Calvin Ridley, I hate the matchup. You know how positive I've been on Calvin Ridley all summer. I think he's going to have a huge season, but this is a brutal opening matchup for Cam Ward in his first NFL start, going against a top Denver defense, which could be the number one unit in the entire league. And now he's got his best guy going against Patrick Surtain. So benching Calvin Ridley, if you have a strong guy on your bench, I would consider it. It's a radical move, but I think that certainly, again, you have Cam Ward in his first start against a brutal Denver defense, and you have the best cover corner outside of maybe Sauce Gardner locking him up. This is a tough matchup for Calvin Ridley. So let's go through the schedule as we lead up for the injury report that's coming out. And again, every week, live stream, 11 a.m. Eastern time, always going to be part of the deal. The wrap-up stream, that's going to be, hit or miss depending on what's going on. I'm not going to be doing the wrap-up live stream today, but most weeks I'm going to try to do that. And also, if you are a member of the channel, and you can access that by you clicking the membership button on the homepage. There will be some members only videos that will be posted this week as well. So make sure you consider that as well. Fran Inglesby was a new member, signed up yesterday. Gerard's been a longtime member. Shout out to those guys. So make sure you check that out. All right, so let's get to it. The Jets and the Steelers. Jets are home underdogs. This is a really tough spot for Justin Fields. It's been raining here all morning. It's supposed to lighten up by the time the game starts. But, Justin Fields, we all know the problems he has throwing the ball. They just lost their best offensive lineman as well, Elijah Vera Tucker, for the season with a biceps tear. You have Armand Membo, the rookie offensive tackle, who's going to be having to deal with TJ Watt, which is a brutal assignment for him in his first NFL start. This is really troubling for Justin Fields. Now, we all know what a great athlete he is. He's going to pick up yardage on the ground. There's no doubt about it. But with really nothing more than Garrett Wilson in terms of targets, like Mason Taylor, I do think Mason Taylor is going to be a contributor fantasy-wise this year. I'm concerned about Justin Fields for sure. Stephanie Jerome Ford over Ridley. I would do it. I absolutely would do that. I think that certainly the Browns are going to be throwing a lot, and that's where Jerome Ford is going to get a lot of dump-off passes in this one. Now, as far as the Steelers are concerned, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be hell-bent on getting revenge. He was not happy the way he was treated by this coaching staff, by Aaron Glenn in particular, when he came over to try to see if they were going to extend their relationship. DK Metcalf, this is a really tough spot for him because he's got Sauce Gardner. I don't like anybody in this matchup fantasy-wise outside of Breece Hall, because I think Breece Hall is going to be used heavily in the passing game. But that being said, I have my reservations about Breece Hall as well. I'm not, I'm not blind to the fact that Braylon Allen is a major threat to him. And also you have Isaiah Davis there. You have a running quarterback in Justin Fields, who's going to be taking touchdowns as well. These are all things that we have to concern ourselves with there in terms of the bottom line for Breece Hall this season. And again, if you're using the handcuff running back strategy, if your league allows you to cut loose bench players that are on your bench, even though the game has taken place, if you're allowed to cut those players and pick up somebody else, like I picked up Will Shipley for Thursday night. I dropped him for Kareem Hunt Friday, and I dropped Kareem Hunt for Braylon and Allen this morning. Now, Yahoo default allows you to cut benched players, even though their game is played. So you have to check your league settings for that. And I know this is kind of a radioactive thing. Not everybody agrees with that, but it has been a default, issue there for Yahoo. So I don't think that, it should be that big of a deal, but some leagues allow it, some don't. All right. Commanders 6.5 over the New York Giants. I do like the Giants getting the points in this one. I think the Giants are going to be competitive in most of their games this year. I think Russell Wilson certainly mentally uplifts this team. You got Malik Neighbors there. They always play the Commanders tough, and really they should have beaten them in one of those 2 games last year, but they lost their kicker, Graham Gano, early in the game, so they had to keep going for 2. I'm very, very high, obviously, on Malik Neighbors, who was able to catch over 100 passes with the mishmash at quarterback for this team last year. Certainly Tyrone Tracy held off Cam Scatterbo, who dealt with injuries this preseason. He was everybody's preseason darling. It's going to take a little while, I think, for him to make hay there. And Tyrone Tracy had a good debut last season. Ralph, whether they should or win the game or not, that's debatable, but it's definitely going to be close. I like this matchup for the Giants in this one for sure. Now, as far as the Commanders, this is one of the keys for today, and there's certain things that I'm looking for more than others. I want to see what the distribution of touches will be with this Commanders backfield, with Chris Rodriguez, with Austin Eckler, and Ja'Cory Bill Krosky-Merritt. Eckler is the one who's getting the most love from the betting sites in terms of how many touches and how many prospective yards he's going to have in this game. So he's probably the best bet to lead this team in fantasy points. But this Giants defensive line is for real. They got massive talent up and down that unit, multiple first-round picks. This is a really strong Giants defensive line. I don't think it's going to be easy for Austin Eckler. And then Terry McLaurin's got to work off some rust as well. He hasn't exactly played well against the Giants as well. Yeah, M. John, CMC is going to play. I did see that, but again, a calf injury is very scary. So we gotta watch this closely. Does he not get as many touches as he would have gotten without this calf issue? That's the key there. All right, Arizona against New Orleans. This one is going to be a rough one. I know it's probably the top pick for the Survivor leagues. Kyler Murray's under the weather, no big deal. The Saints are in a complete rebuild. All right. I have Chris Olave in 2 of my 3 teams only because he fell so far, and talent is never in question when it comes to Chris Olave. The problem with Chris Olave is he doesn't have a quarterback to get him the ball. All right. And he's also got to be careful with the concussions. So Spencer Rattler's getting the start. That doesn't engender any confidence for me. Alvin Kamara, this offense is going to go through him. And I see where M. John was saying Christian McCaffrey, he's good to go. So Christian McCaffrey's good to go today. Just got that alert. And that's from Adam Schefter. Take it for what it's worth. We'll see how long this lasts. But anyway, getting back to the Cardinals game against the Saints. One of the other things I'm looking for this year, will the Saints trade Alvin Kamara? I think they should. There's no reason to hold on to this guy. He's still productive. I think towards the end of the season, though, and if you're an Alvin Kamara owner and he gets off to a good start like he did last year, you got to sell high. This is an aging back who has got a lot of touches on his odometer, and he started to tail off as the midpoint of the season came around last year, and then, of course, he got injured. So he's somebody I would definitely sell high on, but he just constant targets out of the backfield. I think that I think Alvin Kamara is somebody that the Saints should think about trading at some point, heck, maybe even to the Dallas Cowboys, although Javonte Williams played well in the opener. Better season, Damari Douglas or Christian Kirk? I think Kirk will have the better season when he's on the field. I think, being a slot guy, some offensive line issues still with the Texans. They're going to have to throw short a lot. I think Kirk is the better option there. Now, as far as Arizona, the assumption was, okay, Trey McBride's going to have a lot more touchdowns this year. The luck's got to go the other way. I agree to a certain extent, but Kyler Murray just struggles in the red zone constantly because of his short size. So I don't think it's automatically a thing where Trey McBride is going to magically now become a double-digit touchdown guy. I just don't see that. I don't have any shares of him. I don't have any shares of Brock Bowers. I refuse to pay that late second round, early third round price tag. I just didn't think it was a very good allocation of draft resources. I felt this year that value at tight end, your David Njoku's, your Tucker Crafts, like that was the better way to go this season. Marvin Harrison Jr., does he take another step forward this year? Hopefully he does. I think he will. I thought it was a good investment. And James Conner, who I love, is this offense is going to run through him in the red zone. Again, part of the reason why Trey McBride doesn't have a lot of touchdowns is because James Conner tends to cash in when they get close there. Jacksonville, Carolina, there's going to be 1,000 points scored in this game. I'm really looking forward to this one. Call me a Trevor Lawrence apologist. I'm probably guilty of it. I just can't back myself away from the table when it comes to Trevor Lawrence. The guy is just way too physically talented. The Andrew Luck comparisons are right there. There's going to be a lot of points here. He's got the right coaching now. That's been a big problem for him. Since coming into the league, he's got the weapons. I mean, Travis Hunter is going to be an every down receiver in week one. You have Brian Thomas Jr. That's a supreme combo right there. Even Brenton Strange, I think, is going to be a value tight end. I'm curious to see what the running back situation's going to be there. You have three backs. So really the Commanders and the Jaguars, those are the two key running back situations we need to watch so far, for week one there. Gino or Bryce is QB2 in super flex. That's a tough one. I'd have to go Bryce Young. And I do like Bryce Young this year. He really played well the second half of last year. Now you could say, okay, there was no pressure on him. That's fine. But he's got T. McMillan. He's got Xavier Legette. He's getting good coaching now. He's got Chuba Hubbard is a good running back. Like, he's got the weapons now, and he also runs. And that's key in fantasy, as we know. He's a running quarterback, and he's got really impressive accuracy. I like this game. You start everybody. All right. Other than, Travis Etienne, if you're a deeper league, you start him, but you start everybody in this league. Trevor Lawrence, if you have him in a super flex, that's a big deal because I think he's going to have a huge season for me. Sit one, Garrett Ibuka or DJ Moore. Wow. I'm starting DJ Moore. I'm telling you that right now. Wow, that's a tough one. Do you bench Garrett Wilson right off the bat? I mean, it's a brutal matchup for him. I would have to say so because you got climate-controlled weather for Ibuka against Atlanta. I would say Garrett Wilson. And you know what? If he catches a touchdown, so be it. Like, Justin Fields can't throw. Baker Mayfield can. Caleb Williams can throw the ball. Like, his decision-making maybe not that great, but he's got an arm. So that's how I would go there. And then Laporta, Warren, or Garrett per flex. I like Laporta. I like Laporta consistently. And then Rams, Jets, or 49ers D. That's another tight one as well. I'm not going to go Rams there. I think the Houston's going to put up some points. 49. I would go with the Jets in that one. All right. Next game, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to win this game. All right. And there's a chance that either Atlanta or Carolina could win this division. Like the NFC South is in play for almost any team in this division, right? I think Atlanta's in a good spot betting wise. I've been on this game when I saw the schedule come out and I saw that they were home dogs. Tampa Bay really, they're obviously very solid. They've been multiple time division winners. But again, they're turning over the offensive coordinator there again. So I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I like Michael Penix. Drake London's going to feast. It's going to be a lot of points scored here. But I think there could be an upset in this one. Hi, Ryan. Top of the morning, standard league. Which running back should I start flex between Henderson or Tyron Tracy? I would go Henderson, definitely. Hi, Sean. Aaron Jones or James Cook? James Cook, and he's got a better chance to score than Aaron Jones because they're going to be using Jordan Mason around the goal line. I can't start Ridley, but I'm starting Josh Downs instead. Listen, there's no defense in that game, Rain. So you go with Colts and you go with with all the Dolphins in this one. Calvin Ridley, it's a tough matchup. And here's the thing, guys. You got to play the odds. Like if Calvin Ridley catches a touchdown against Patrick Surtain, then so be it. Like it was the right call. Like same thing with Javonte Williams in the opener. I took some flack. Oh, he was on your hate list. Javonte Williams was as shitty as ever, but he got 2 gift 1-yard touchdown plunges. He averaged less than 4 yards per carry. It was the same Javonte Williams, but he got lucky. The pass interference against George Pickens set the ball up right at the goal line there. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. And it was still the right play to bench him. And who would have thought that Jalen Carter would have been benched right off the bat? So he would not have scored maybe even both of those touchdowns if Jalen Carter were in the game. You're welcome, Sean. Now, moving on here. Indianapolis, Miami, you start everybody. Daniel Jones, whether you like him or not, he was a better choice than Anthony Richardson to unlock Tyler Warren, who I love. Michael Pittman. I wouldn't start Michael Pittman. I would start Tyler Warren. I would be a little leery about Michael Pittman. Josh Downs, I think, is a decent matchup in a deeper league. Or, if you have a situation where Calvin Ridley, you got to bench him. But Miami, you're starting everyone. Jalen Waddle, Devin Achane, who's 100%. Hold Ollie Gordon for a week if you're an Achane owner. See how things materialize there. Tua Tagovailoa is going to put up a lot of points today. All right, Henderson, Pearsall, Golden, Ridley picked 2. Not Ridley. I would have to go Henderson and Pearsall. Rain, thank you. I appreciate that. Won me a championship. Well, I'm glad you won a championship. I didn't win anything last year. Last year was the first year I haven't won anything in a couple of years. It really pissed me off. We've been over that a million times. Hopefully this year I have a better opportunity. Aaron Jones or Ramadre. That's an interesting one. I think they're going to unleash Henderson. I really do. I don't have any faith in Ramadre. I like the fact that, Aaron Jones catching passes out of the backfield. I honestly flip your coin on that one. If I had to pick, if it's a PPR league, I will go Jones. If it's standard, I'd go Ramadre. All right, next game, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns. It's going to be a tough year for Cleveland, no doubt about it. They're wasting Myles Garrett's, his prime years, and I understand that he's frustrated. But there's just no way that you can have any confidence in any of the Cleveland Brown players, including Jerry Jeudy. Like, I'm just not, Joe Flacco for however long he's in there. The one exception I would make is David Njoku, because David Njoku, no matter really who's at quarterback for this team, he does get his targets. Like, he's top 5 at the tight end position in targets the last 3 years. So that's something you could use. That's someone you could use, at least from the Cleveland side. Cincinnati, listen, Joe Burrow is the only quarterback I think this year who could throw 50 touchdown passes. He's the only one. All right, Lamar Jackson had a very fluky touchdown per pass ratio last year. That's going to come down this year. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to have that kind of volume. Josh Allen, they're running it more than ever now with the new offensive coordinator there. So I think Joe Burrow is the guy with the best 2 starting receivers in football, the best combo, I should say, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I think he's the guy, if he stays healthy, can throw for 50 touchdowns this year. And Chase Brown, my ride or die, who I have on 2 of my teams, can't wait to see what he does here to start out. San Francisco and Seattle. San Francisco is actually a road favorite here. I think Seattle is a live underdog. I think Sam Darnold's a good fit in this offense. You have a couple of receivers here in JSN and Cooper Kupp to help move the ball. You have Kenneth Walker, who's not my cup of tea, but you have the best backup, in my opinion, really, in Zach Charbonnet, who can be a top 10 and has been a top 10, 12 guy when he's been called on to start. And Sean, I totally agree with you about Joe Burrow. I actually took Joe Burrow ahead of Jalen Hurts in one league this year. I have no Jalen Hurts. I had him in 2 leagues last year. And of course, the concussion really, really screwed me. and was probably the biggest reason I didn't win anything last year, because he was knocked out for the wild card round of the fantasy playoffs, and then he missed the next week as well. Yeah, Jay Moore, I got both of them as well. I have Brown and Bijan on one team, so I can't wait to see how that materializes there. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, and he didn't, he looked pretty decent on Thursday, but the Eagles remain a major run-heavy team. If you're an A.J. Brown owner, if you're a Devontae Smith owner, it's going to be a lot of angst this year from week to week in terms of what it's going to look like with their numbers. It's going to be very inconsistent because this is going to remain a very run-heavy team. San Francisco, we know that McCaffrey is hobbling. No Brandon Ayuk. What's Juwan Jennings going to do now that he's got his contract signed? Ricky Pearsall, I think the industry, I like him. I think we were a little aggressive on him during the summer. Brock Purdy, he's as boring as it gets, but he gets the job done. I am concerned about this San Francisco team. I think George Kittle was a great investment. I do have him on one league. Clips, I would not drop Caleb Williams for Justin Fields. Absolutely not. No way. So I think that there's a lot of concern in San Francisco about how good this team is going to be. I think Seattle could win this game outright. Denver and Tennessee, brutal first start for Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward has the arm. He can hit on all three levels. If you have Calvin Ridley, we've already been over this. He's drawn Patrick Surtain. The weather may not be great. Rookie quarterback. Those are all major negatives. It's going to take some guts to bench Calvin Ridley, even though I've been talking him up all summer. But sometimes these are the things you got to do. And like I said, if he catches a touchdown, so be it. The trends are not great here. And again, Patrick Surtain never even gave up 40 yards to an opposing receiver at all last season. Took him ahead of Daniels and Hurts. Yeah, Sean, listen, Joe Burrow could be QB1, and nobody would be surprised, but he was going as QB5 in the majority of leagues. That's how you win in fantasy football. Samson or Ford? Ford. I definitely trust Ford a lot more in the opener. All right, Green Bay, Detroit. We're about 7 minutes from the injury report, guys. So Green Bay and Detroit, Jordan Love, excellent 2 years ago. Last year dealt with injuries, was solid, though, down the stretch. What's Detroit going to look like without Ben Johnson? They lost both coordinators. Aaron Glenn, of course, the head coach for the Jets. Ben Johnson, head coach of the Bears. There are questions about what this team is going to do offensively. Like David Montgomery, is it still going to be a 60-40 split in favor of Jahmyr Gibbs, or is it going to move more towards 70-30, which I think it will. But this coaching staff has also made it a point to kind of preserve Jahmyr Gibbs, and we talked about that last season. Early on, dialed back his touches. It was a little frustrating, but then they unleashed him as the season went along there. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams just got paid. His development last year came at the expense of Sam Laporta, who didn't have that follow-up to his excellent rookie campaign. I'm curious. This is another major story that I'm going to pay attention to this season. Rams in Houston. I think we've gone too far the other way now with CJ Stroud. I said last year, don't draft him as QB5, and that's where he was going on average. This year, nobody wants him. He wasn't drafted in a decent amount of leagues. I think that's way too much of an overreaction the other way. You have the best receiver in football that nobody talks about, and Nico Collins, who was right there with Justin Jefferson in points per game last season when he was healthy. I know health is a challenge for Nico. He's one of the more pronounced, along with Puka Nacua, injury risks among wide receiver ones. But Nico Collins could be wide receiver one, and nobody should be surprised this year. I do like the bounce back potential of CJ Stroud this year. If you're in a super flex league, the Rams, if Matthew Stafford's back is okay, and I am concerned about that, all systems a go. Puka Nacua, I think Devontae Adams was the better value of the two. Adams going to have more touchdowns. He's also going to may not catch as many passes, but could be right there with Puka in yardage, and he's much more durable. All right, Baltimore, Buffalo. This is the game tonight. Can't wait to see this one. Buffalo, amazingly, is a home dog, like 1.5 from the Ravens. I think it's kind of a weird line. To me, I think Buffalo is going to win this game. It's time for one of these teams to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what it's all about for both of these teams. Whether Lamar Jackson should have won MVP last year, and I think he should have, which is amazing because that would have been his third before the age of 30. You all know how much I love Lamar Jackson, one of my all-time favorites. I don't have any stock in him this year. It's the first time I think since he's come in a league, I don't have Lamar Jackson in any of my leagues, which is a little disconcerting because he's just so good. His touchdown percentage last year was a little bit in fluke territory. I think it's going to come down. I want to see maybe some more passing from the Bills, but Josh Allen keeping the ball around the goal line is a big thing. James Cook, I was out on him altogether. You talk about a touchdown fluke. That was James Cook last year. There's no way he's getting mid-teen touchdowns on the ground. FanDuel and DraftKings has him between 8 and 8.5. So that tells you all you need to know about the fluky nature of his touchdown total last year. You have 2 other backs that are going to be contributing. You have a mobile quarterback who's going to be taking touchdowns around the goal line. I was out on James Cook this year, but just not a fan of him. Mark Andrews with Isaiah Likely out. He's going to have an opportunity to kind of get his career back on track. It was kind of a rough year for him last year, but he still remains a heavy red zone target for Lamar Jackson. Riding with Fields today, Garrett Wilson in my flex. It is a gamble, James. I'm not loving this matchup, especially with the bad weather, but we all know Justin Fields can run. He's going to have a decent amount of yardage on the ground, but how much can he throw? This Jets coaching staff did not help him. They didn't give him anything other than Garrett Wilson. Mason Taylor, maybe he could be the other guy, but it's the rest of the offensive weapons, if you will, do not look very good. And against a tough Steelers defense, I'm concerned about him on week 1. And then finally, Minnesota and Chicago. Another home dog here. Chicago's a home dog against Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy, that's like another situation where we could see the blossoming of a young, talented quarterback. And really, J.J. McCarthy, it's his second year, but this is his first start. He's like a rookie. Liked what I saw from him in the preseason. I think they're going to rely on the run a little bit, quite heavily early on with Jordan Mason, who they brought in to do the short yardage and the goal line stuff. Aaron Jones will be a prime target out of the backfield. Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson. Like, he's quarterback proof. So I think J.J. McCarthy probably by October could have standalone fantasy value even in 12-team single quarterback leagues, because we all know Kevin O'Connell knows how to coach up quarterbacks. We saw what he did with Sam Darnold, which is a minor miracle. And then you have Chicago. Really like what we saw out of Caleb Williams. He has some maturity issues, takes too many sacks. Like, there's a lot of noise around him last year, and I'm sure he wasn't happy the fact that he was outproduced by Bo Nix, who I absolutely love. He's my new favorite player, by the way, Bo Nix. And even Drake May, good signs for Drake May. Like, all the quarterbacks who were taken after him played well. And so, Williams probably has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for this season as well. And I think that he's got the right coaching now. He's got an insane amount of weapons. I think Rome Odunze takes a step forward, becomes a strong wide receiver 3. Talent is there. DJ Moore, criminally underrated every year. You have 2 pass catching tight ends, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. There's weapons everywhere. The offensive line is improved. Caleb Williams got to get it done this year. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what he's got to do. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But I think that all the pieces are in place for him to happen. All right, we're just about a minute away from the injury report coming down. And again, guys, have that notification bell hit, because instant injury analysis update video, that was a mouthful, will be posted throughout the day. Anything else in terms of, and I'm going to comment on the running back situation with the Jaguars, with the Commanders, let you guys know, let you know what the distribution is early on. Is Jacoski Merritt going to be the guy? Is it going to be Tank Bigsby for the Jags? Like, these are all questions that we need answers for this season. How do you feel about Pat's D season long? I am starting them for week 1 here, but I long term, they have the right coaching. I think Mike Vrabel certainly knows what he's doing, with the defense, and having with his history on the defense for this team, I think that they're going to be a strong unit. And I am using them for the first week there. All right. So how about this? Chris Rodriguez is a scratch for the Commanders. So we're getting some answers right there. He was supposed to be the third. That's why you can't believe anything these coaches say in the summer. He was talked about as being the goal line back. Well, he's inactive. So now we have Jacoski Merritt and Austin Eckler. So now I'm feeling a little more optimistic about Tchaikovsky Merritt's the upside now, because really things got a little crazy. He was moving up into like the 5th round in some drafts, which is a little drastic, but then it dialed back to around the 8th round as we started to wind down. So, but that's interesting. So Rodriguez is not part of the lineup today. No Andrew Thomas for the Giants at left tackle. James, yeah, you could flex Eckler. The Giants have had trouble with him in the past. So no Shedeur Sanders today for the Browns. Vita Vea is active today. He will play against the Falcons, so that's at least something to keep in mind there. Chris Godwin is not active for the Buccaneers, as we knew. I actually think Chris Godwin is going to be back playing sooner rather than later. Darnell Mooney is inactive today. He's not going today for the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, Aaron Hernandez. I'm sorry. I laugh every time. I shouldn't laugh. I mean, it was kind of a tragedy, that whole thing, but just the name, I just can't get used to it. Sorry, bud. What potential tight end pick up on waivers you targeting? Yeah, I am worried about Kelsey. I'm keeping an eye on Dalton Kincaid today. If Tucker Kraft is available, Brenton Strange is another one. I'm gonna chalk it up as one game for Kelsey, but he looked like he was running in place. Like it just wasn't good. So that's, you don't want to overreact, but Kelsey kind of piggybacking off of, his poor metrics last season. I am starting to look around, but those are the guys, Tucker Kraft, if he's available. And I think Tucker Kraft is going to have a true breakout year. If you could try to buy low on him, I would. Aaron, whoever the Tucker Kraft owner is in your league, chances are he could even be a backup in one of your leagues. Jamar Bonix, Bijan Brown, and Buka. Listen, I like all of them. You got 2 rookies in there, 3 rookies with Hampton and Henderson. 4. Wow. All right. You got the rookies taken care of. That's for sure. I'm not as high on Murray and Hampton. I've been on record about that. I do like Marvin Harrison's bounce back. I think it's a solid team, a lot of youth, but there's a lot of potential there. Hunter Henry, sleeper. Yeah, he could be. Drake May and him have a decent thing going. It's really, other than Stephon Diggs, and we don't know what kind of condition he's going to be, there's not a lot of weapons there. And I do love Drake May this year. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And what he did when he started the second half of last season was like a minor miracle. Bench Drake May, Ollie Gordon, Krosky Merritt. Bench, if you're going to bench one of them, Thornton. I'm curious about Thornton Jr. I would say that's a tough one. I maybe Ollie Gordon. I don't know how much work he's going to get now that Devin Achane is healthy. Excuse me, and hopefully happy. I have Denver defense, drop Ravens. Yeah, Denver's the top defense in the league. There's no doubt about it. James Conner, Rain. I mean, come on. You know how I feel about James Conner, right? I mean, James Conner to me can do no wrong. Like he's up there with Aaron Jones and Lamar Jackson and Keenan Allen as my all-time favorite fantasy players. Like those 4 are like on my Mount Rushmore of my favorite players. Good tight end stash. Kincaid. I think Kincaid is a good tight end stash. Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland, guys like that. A real deep sleeper is the kid on the Giants, the Penn State guy. Theo Johnson there. I think he's somebody that we need to pay attention to. Mason Taylor as well, because the Jets have nobody else to use. So I think that he's going to be somebody that they're going to be, utilizing this season there. So I shouldn't have been scratching the country. Yeah, I love James Conner. He's my boy for sure. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to jump off here. I got some stuff to do before the games, but, again, keep the phone handy, the notification bell hit, because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on today. So listen, good luck. Let's all get off to winning weeks. Let you guys know how I'm doing later on. Enjoy the games, and we will talk soon. Take care, everybody.